It's been a tense week in Canada, one that could change the country's economic balance in ways few imagined. The latest storm isn't coming from Ottawa this time. It's brewing out west, deep in the heart of Alberta. For days, whispers have been spreading, not official statements, not breaking news alerts, but quiet, carefully chosen words coming from government halls and energy insiders. Something big is unfolding. And it all circles around one of the most powerful bargaining chips Alberta has ever held: oil. Now, before we get into the heart of it, let's set the stage. Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney is currently thousands of kilometers away on a high-profile economic trip through Asia. He's talking trade, investment, and green energy partnerships, the kind of international spotlight every leader craves. But while Carney's busy shaking hands abroad, the mood back home couldn't be more different. Because in Alberta, Premier Danielle Smith has been sending a message that's impossible to ignore and impossible for Ottawa to control. Let's just say, Alberta is done being pushed around. Over the past week, a wave of frustration has been building inside the province. Oil producers, transportation officials, and even some MLAs have started to speak in code, referring to energy sovereignty, pipeline leverage, and provincial authority. Those words might sound like ordinary political talk, but for anyone who's followed Canadian politics long enough, they're red flags. At the center of it all is one question: what happens when a province that fuels the country decides it's no longer willing to play along? Because make no mistake, Alberta's energy industry isn't just a regional player. It's the beating heart of Canada's economy. The pipelines running east don't just carry crude oil, they carry tax dollars, trade deals, and political power. And if even one of those lines were to slow or stop, the ripple effects would be immediate. Now, no one, not Premier Smith, not her ministers, has said those exact words out loud. Not officially. But there's a shift in tone, a new edge in every statement coming from Edmonton. A warning disguised as a policy discussion. And that's what's making Ottawa nervous. While Carney's overseas, his cabinet is reportedly scrambling to keep communication lines open with the Alberta government. One senior official, speaking off the record, hinted that there's a serious concern about Alberta's energy posture. That's bureaucratic language for one thing: panic. Because what happens if Alberta decides to use its energy exports as leverage? What happens if shipments heading east suddenly face technical delays or maintenance reviews? It wouldn't take an official shutdown, just a slowdown would send markets reeling. Gas prices would spike overnight. Investors would start asking questions about Canada's stability. And that's before we even talk about what this would mean for federal-provincial relations. Let's be real, Alberta has threatened bold moves before. But this time feels different. This isn't a political stunt. It's a calculated message. Sources close to the Premier's office have described Smith as extremely frustrated with Ottawa's recent energy policies, the kind she believes unfairly punish Alberta while rewarding provinces that contribute far less to the national economy. She's been talking about respect for provincial rights, resource control, and economic independence. And if you listen carefully to how she's been framing it lately, the subtext is clear: Alberta is ready to play hardball. Meanwhile, Mark Carney, halfway across the world, is trying to project calm. In public, his remarks about national unity and collaboration between regions sound diplomatic. But behind closed doors, aides traveling with him reportedly admit he's concerned. Because he knows, if this situation escalates, it won't just be a provincial protest. It could ignite the biggest intergovernmental crisis Canada has seen in decades. And here's where things get even more complicated. Alberta's energy exports aren't just about Alberta and Ottawa. The province's oil shipments feed refineries and industries across multiple provinces. So if Alberta tightens its valves, it's not just Ottawa that feels the heat, it's Ontario, Quebec, and even parts of Atlantic Canada. Imagine the headlines: fuel shortages, price spikes, federal emergency meetings, all because one province decided to stand its ground. Now, let's pause here for a second. I'm not saying Alberta has officially decided to shut down anything. That's not the claim. But I am saying that the language, the tone, and the timing point towards something strategic, a message meant to remind Ottawa that Alberta's energy isn't a favor. It's power. And it's not just about oil. It's about pride. About decades of feeling sidelined, overtaxed, and underappreciated. About a province that's been told to change its identity to fit someone else's agenda. That's why this moment feels so charged. It's not simply economics, it's emotion. Carney's government has been pushing for a rapid transition to green energy, championing national climate goals that require every province to fall in line. But Alberta, where oil isn't just a resource, but a way of life, has grown increasingly defiant. Danielle Smith has said before that she won't let Ottawa dictate Alberta's future. And now, with Carney out of the country, her timing couldn't be more precise. Because when the nation's leader is an ocean away, it's easier for political messages to echo louder at home. In political circles, this is being described as Alberta's line in the sand moment. A test of how far Ottawa is willing to push and how far Alberta is willing to go to defend its autonomy. Energy insiders are already warning that if tensions continue, we could see disruptions, not because of an outright blockade, but because companies themselves might hold off on certain operations amid uncertainty. That alone could send shockwaves through the national economy. Meanwhile, in Alberta's towns and cities, there's a growing sense of unity. For once, it seems like everyone, from oil workers to small business owners, feels they're standing behind the same cause, protecting Alberta's right to decide its own future. And maybe that's the real story here. Because this isn't just about pipelines or policies. It's about power, who holds it, who uses it, and who's willing to risk everything to keep it. Mark Carney's team is expected back in Canada within days. When he returns, he'll face questions he can't avoid. What happens now? Can Ottawa and Alberta find common ground? Or has something deeper been set in motion, something that can't be undone with a few polite press conferences? If history has taught us anything, it's that once Alberta draws a line, it rarely erases it. And if Danielle Smith believes her province's future is being threatened, no international summit or diplomatic handshake is going to calm the storm. What we're watching right now could be the beginning of a new chapter in Canada's political history, one written not in Parliament Hill press rooms, but in the oil fields and energy corridors of Alberta. A quiet standoff, unfolding in real time, with the rest of the country watching and waiting. And somewhere, in a hotel room across Asia, Mark Carney is undoubtedly watching too, aware that while he's talking about global cooperation abroad, a very different kind of confrontation might be waiting for him back home. No confirmations, no official orders. Just silence. The kind of silence that always comes before something big.